This went so well last week. We're doing it again. It is Overreaction Tuesday, a new staple here for football season on the Hoffman Show. Lynnell Willingham joins us from his couch, where he has a notebook full of notes, some of which might be overreactions. All right, Lynnell, first take. Oh, actually, let me explain. For those that missed it last week, we're going to get takes from Lynnell. We will determine whether overreactions or not. Last week, a lot of really smart takes, a lot of really good stuff that I don't think any overreactions. So
yeah, well,
let's see if you can live up to your rep in week 2.
Disclaimer: there will be overreactions today.
Okay. I'm preparing myself.
I need an update on your hair too. I'm so stunned that you still don't have a haircut.
Yeah, so here's the update on the hair. I overbooked, not really overbooked. I booked the wrong week. I was in the app and I thought that I had a haircut for last Friday, and I went to the barbershop and everything, and they're like, "Nope, buddy, your thing's next Friday." And I was like, "Is there anybody available right now?" And they're like, "Unfortunately not. So sorry." So yeah, no, I've got the flow going right now. But this Friday it is getting put back in its proper length.
Needed that update. Right, I'm a much more wholesome person because of it. There we go.
All right, your first football take. Besides, my hair is long. That's not a football take.
I don't even know if I want to start here, but I guess it's the appropriate place to start. After Sunday and after 2 weeks and like 6 weeks of training camp, Washington has their franchise quarterback.
I figured you might go here.
That's my strong, and it's not even really an overreaction. I'll give you some context. I just think at that position, you know it, covering this league as long as you have, when a guy is made up of the right stuff mentally and he has work ethic and he's not afraid to grind, you normally are able to really grow at that position. And I think a couple of times on Sunday, you saw why his teammates have such a respect for him. In these first 2 weeks, Craig, he's taken some shots on the chin and he hangs in there like a warrior and lets the football loose and throws accurate passes. I think he really has shown a lot here in these first 2 starts. I thought the second half against Denver, that first drive that they had, it's a masterclass. The scramble that he has on 3rd and 10 to show that type of elite athleticism. I didn't know he had that against ones. We've seen him do it in the preseason, but you're going to have to calm me down because I really am feeling like, okay, now when I say Washington now has a franchise quarterback, the overreaction gets to go a little bit further because guess what? Quarterback, 23 years old on a rookie contract with this roster. You know what that means, Hoffman? You've just entered your Super Bowl window. So I think things are looking on the up and
now
up
we're
for this group.
now we're getting ahead of ourselves.
I mean, that's really genuinely how I feel. I understand it's supposed to be an overreaction segment, but like Buffalo, if they go in and handle their business, I'll feel even more convicted about that statement I just made. But looking at the outlook of the roster, quarterback on a rookie deal that's not even your traditional rookie deal, it's even cheaper than that. I think they're in a really good spot right now.
They are in a great spot. Yeah, no, they are in a great spot. And I talked about this yesterday with Phillips about this time. Like, you could re-sign Chase if you wanted to. Like, if you wanted to keep that foursome together, depending on how much it costs. And, you know, you obviously Chase or Montez could get tagged and you sign the other one. Like, at least next year, you could try to keep everybody together because if Sam is your guy at quarterback money is not going to the quarterback. So it can go other places. So there are, as is typical with your takes, like, it's not like they're out of nowhere. They're not you're a smart guy. It's just you take shreds of information and you piece them together. You ignore some of the downsides. And then we've taken off to the Super Bowl. And that, sir, is an overreaction. I do think the idea of you are entering a potential Super Bowl window if Sam Howell is not just a franchise quarterback, but a really good one. Like, that's how this works. So I see you, I think, saying like, oh, we're in it now after 2 weeks is you like, whoa, you know, let's pull the reins a little bit. And I do think it is too early to say for sure Washington has their franchise quarterback. Now, I will say this, though. If I had to bet on or against Sam Howell, I would bet on him. I have been that way for a while, but let's have the reality check because I have covered this league for a long time. And there are guys that are flashes in the pan. There are guys that probably have it, but can't stay healthy. And I have concerns on both of those fronts with Sam. What happens is the league gets more tape on him. We are 2 weeks into him being QB1 and 3 starts into his career. That is not a lot of tape. Defensive coordinators are going to figure out what he does well and what he doesn't, and they're going to try to force him to do the stuff that he does not do well. The question, to which I think you and I would both say Sam will respond well to, is how does he adapt and adjust over time? I think he's got the moxie, the work ethic, the intelligence, all that stuff. So that is one, but like we're too early yet. They don't even have tape on him. What happens when that happens? The other part is his one big bugaboo is he invites a ton of pressure because he's holding the ball too long. And there are guys that have had really great trajectories, but take too many hits, and that either affects their confidence or they straight up get hurt, and that changes the trajectory of their career. So it is an overreaction to say Washington 100% definitively has their franchise quarterback, but it sure looks like they've got one hell of a candidate. I don't think that's an overreaction at all.
Yeah, and the one thing I will say is that it feels like even from week 1 to week 2, we saw him make strides with throwing the football away, protecting the football a lot better. And the one thing I'll say about him holding on to the football, I think it's a double-edged sword, so to speak. I think it shows how well the offensive line is protecting, which I'll overreact to a little bit later on in the segment. But I also think it's part of him maybe not seeing everything right away, which is what you expect with a young quarterback. He's still continuing to understand what it's like to take live bullets and go through his progressions in real game time speed. So I think as he continues to get more reps, I think he'll get better at that. But on the flip side, like you said, more and more tape will come out on him and defenses will start honing in on what he quote unquote struggles with. But right now, it ain't a whole lot to pick from. That's the one thing I will say. So
yeah, I mean, threw for 299. Like that's a good day at the
I hate that
office.
he didn't get 3 bills. By the
I
way,
know. I was like, can we just do a play action something here at the end of the
yeah,
game? Whatever. But I will also say this little take command preview for you. I know you get super jazzed up for
yeah.
the film breakdown
You guys went
midweek.
extra. I probably got plenty of juicy nuggets in there for
Yeah.
me.
It's, well, one of the things that we talked about when we recorded it this morning was the receivers can help out a little bit too. They always receivers,
Yeah.
easy life, man. No one ever blames you for anything unless there's just a bad drop or something. But there's a couple of plays where Sam's holding it where the receivers could speed it up a little bit. And if they're in the windows at the right time, perhaps they're easier throws for Sam. He still should get the ball out in almost all of those situations, but the receivers getting used to the timing and rhythm of the offense is a narrative to watch over the next couple of weeks in regards to Howell as well. All right, that's Lynnell, as in Lynnell Willingham, youngest in charge movement, etc. I am Craig Hoffman. It's Hoffman Show here on the Team 980. Lynnell joins us every Tuesday for Overreaction Tuesday. What is your next take that may or may not be an overreaction?
Yeah, I'm gonna give a little disclaimer with this by saying I never like to make anything personal. I'm just going off of what Linnell's eyes see. That's it.
Okay. This is not Lynnell. These are Lynnell's eyes.
These are just Linnell's eyes talking, right?
Okay.
I hate doing this because I know how tough it is, and I understand how many varying circumstances go into an individual player's success. But I'm ready to send Cody Barton to the bench. He's really hurting this team defensively, I feel like, specifically against the run. The note that I continued to write, I got a couple of them. Barton must be better, underlined 3 times. Barton always seems to be a step slow in the run game. He's seeing it. It's just about using that speed that he has and going and closing and going to go get the football. I just think it's an area right now. He's not getting off blocks well. And I think the way Jamin played, and you see his closing speed, I think if you swap him and Jamin out, maybe you're a little bit better in the run game. But I know the run defense struggle for a multitude of different reasons. There were a couple of different times where it's either Benjamin St. Juice or Emmanuel Forbes not run fitting properly, and the linebacker gets blamed pseudo just because that's the way things go. But all in all, just from watching the game back 3 times now, Cody Barton struggled on Sunday. I get that he's lining people up and like he's wearing the green dot, so there's an importance that he has. We saw him shift the defensive line a couple times and put them in really good spots. If your first round pick can't do that, then that's a problem. I just think Jamin's a better athlete than Barton is. Not saying that Barton's some type of slow guy. He's fast, but
Yeah.
he's not playing fast. And that's the thing that's kind of, I think, hurting this defense. And in the past defense, he struggled a couple times as well on Sunday, passing off crossing routes and not communicating with the other guy, which may not all be on him. But
Right.
I just think for my eye test, it seems like he's a step slow is the way I'll put it.
I think that's fair watching the TV copy. The tape's a little kinder. I think that's a slight overreaction. I mean, look, I've been beating the Jamin drum since last year. So you're barking up the right tree in this particular case. If your argument is let's get Jamin Davis on the field more, because I'm like, welcome to the party, bro.
Yeah.
You're late. I've been here standing by myself for a while, waiting for some other people to show up.
I have a beverage, yeah.
Yeah, here's some punch. With Cody, some of the crossing route stuff, like they're just hard. Like,
Yeah, they are.
and it was crazy because Denver did not look like they had a lot of team speed offensively week 1, and week 2 they looked like the fastest team in the NFL. You're like, who are these dudes wearing
Yeah,
Broncos
it was
jerseys?
dangerous.
Where were they against Las Vegas? And if you got wide receivers screaming across the formation in a mesh concept, and they're like, there's a reason a lot of coordinators like mesh in a lot of key situations because it puts defenses in conflict against every coverage. Like, it's a safe call
Yep.
in terms of you're not screwed if it's man, you're not screwed if it's zone, you're not screwed if it's match. Like, there are answers within that concept for literally every coverage, and it puts defenders in massive conflict at very high speeds. And so Barton, like, he's an average NFL linebacker. You're just gonna lose sometimes. And
Yeah.
I think the bigger concern is some of the run game stuff, like you said, to start that take, which I think is concerning and correct. Like, where is he on some of this run stuff? Sometimes it's on
You're
Jamin
just getting
actually. Like,
sealed, getting beat. You can't get
there's
blocked. That's
there's
my
one early in the game that we broke down on Take Command that it looks like it might be Cody, but like based off the pre-snap alignment, Logan's like, there's just no way that he's ever going to get there. Like, that's actually not his mistake. He just winds up being the guy closest to the ball because that's how it happens sometimes, where it's like you try to cover for someone else and you wind up looking like the guy at fault, but it's actually not your fault. And he didn't know whether it should have been one of the D linemen that got pinned or Jamin maybe should have wrong armed someone. And that could have been the thing that, forced it back closer to
yeah.
Cody. But he winds up being the closest guy to the ball on a play that's not actually his fault. And I think sometimes that happens. But whatever these are worth, PFF wise, yeah, he's at near the bottom again. Forbes, who gives up the big play down the field, and Butler, who gives up, or Butler. I don't know how much some of those were on Percy, but certainly if they're
Well,
not on Percy.
the deep touchdown wasn't on Butler. Was he was trying to help Forrest out, right? Forrest gets caught with the eye candy on the crosser, and
Yeah, we
he's
can talk about that one more in a second.
cover
But like
two.
the third worst rated player on the defense on Sunday, according to PFF, was Cody Barton, and Jamin is the sixth best. Um, but Jamin also only played 41 snaps. Barton plays 66. Like, I
Yeah.
don't know, man. It's tough. Also, what is this? My guy James Smith Williams. They give James a 27 tackling. I guess he must have missed a tackle at some point.
I thought he
Whatever.
played really well.
I thought he did
Hey,
too. Sometimes individual grades like pull the overall grade down. You're like, that doesn't seem very fair. Anyway, the point is, like, I think that Davis is a better player than Barton. If he can play
yeah,
100% of snaps, I would like to see it. And I am very curious if these trends continue. If that is the case, I kind of think Cody's got one more week. That tends to be how, for whatever reason, my brain is going instinctually, is
yeah,
that Del Rio will give him one more week. And if it doesn't start to get better, then I think you'll see those snap counts not be 100% for Barton.
yeah.
All right.
I just think it's something that's got to get cleaned up. But yeah,
Yeah. All right.
for sure.
Next take here on Overreaction Tuesday from Lynnell.
This one's of the spicy variety. I've been on this bandwagon for a little while. And the tape on Sunday, I'm curious to get your thoughts after looking at the All 22 because I've admittedly only watched the TV copy over a couple different times.
So far, I have not seen the all. We're back in NFL Game Pass hell, where any all 22 clips that I've
So
seen
it's
are
not
all
up yet
on.
because it's not up on
Yeah,
mine either.
yeah, no,
Okay.
it's all Twitter, and Mark Bullock does a phenomenal job. Shout out to Mark
Yeah.
on his Substacks. Like, I've watched a fair amount of clippage. I haven't had a chance to
Yeah.
watch the actual full tape, but we obviously did the pod, and so we talked about a lot of stuff, Logan and I. So fire away, what you got?
If Sadiq Charles continues to play this way, I think he'll be a Pro Bowler by the end of the season. I think he's off to a phenomenal start. The way that they're using his athleticism in the screen game, he sprung a couple of different big plays on Sunday that end up going for 20 plus yards, and he's the block that ends up springing it loose. I thought him, while Charles Leno's getting a lot of slack, you lose in the National Football League as an offensive lineman. It happens. I think him and Sadiq early on are doing a really, really good job passing off these games that teams are running up front. Sadiq is like really good at it in terms of like catching his guy. Like he's helping. I see him helping Gates, and then the stun happens. Then he's coming and he's punching. His punch is one of the most powerful things right now in the National Football League. If you actually like watch what how people brace back when he hits them. I just don't feel like there's a big weakness in his game right now. He's getting good movement in the running game. When they're pulling him, he's effective in kicking people out. I mean, I saw a lot of good things from him on Sunday, and it feels like, okay, if he's healthy, like in terms of his measurables and the athleticism, he has a chance to be the best offensive lineman on the team, and maybe end up being a Pro Bowler to me, because I think he's got all the tools. It's just about doing it on a consistent basis, and I thought Sunday he did that.
So here's why this is a massive overreaction. Pro Bowls are based on reputation, and Sadiq Charles doesn't have a reputation. Like,
Well, yeah,
from a play level standpoint, I think he has been excellent through 2 games. He was tremendous on Sunday. I mean, again, PFF grades are what they are, but he grades out an 82 on
okay,
Sunday. He only graded out a 55, the first one. They did not like his run blocking week 1 very much against Arizona, although he graded out exceptionally well. He was the best pass blocker on the team on in week 1, according to PFF. He's played really well. And you do see the athleticism. You see him get out in space. You see why they wanted him to win the starting job over Chris Paul, and why he ultimately does, why they strung that out long enough, even though Paul was playing well, to say, hey, dude, if you can get back and you
yeah,
can get us anything that shows that you're worth the starter, it's your job. And he comes back, and sure enough, he's the starter. So I don't think the idea that Sadiq Charles is playing well, and this is classic Lynnell, right?
yeah, I know, right?
Is Sadiq Charles playing well? Yes. Is the conclusion off of that he's going to be a Pro Bowler in 2023?
Yeah,
Very unlikely. I mean, if he goes out and kills some guys, and Trent Williams style, it gets out and flat. By the way, did you see the clip of Trent just absolutely annihilating the Rams DB this weekend?
I hate that he's not here, because when I see these highlights every week, it reminds me of what the hell I got to see every Sunday for
Yeah,
years. So
yeah,
it's tough.
yeah. It was tough,
Sadiq's got some tough
but
matchups coming up here, though, because Ed Oliver was a man possessed on Sunday against the Raiders, and I think Buffalo's front, from like a speed standpoint and how they move laterally, can present some challenges for you.
right. Well, and then, the interior lines in the division, once you get into those, like
Yeah,
like Dexter
he
Lawrence,
should be
and
able to
then
hold his own, though, man. I really am confident in him. Like,
yeah, I mean, if he
really
goes out and
opening.
dominates Dexter Lawrence, like sure, Jordan Davis or some of these other guys in the division, like by all means, put him
My
on the
thing with
Pro Bowl
Sadiq, like
ballot.
if I'm a pass rusher, like how am I trying to attack him? Because I don't know what the weakness is. Like he can anchor. You can't just bull rush him because he's strong as an ox
You
and
just
can
have to mix
anchor.
it up. You have to rely on the fact
Yeah.
that he's inexperienced, and you can probably get him at some trick him. You get a feel. I don't know. I'm not a defensive tackle, so I don't have a lot
I
of
would love your
experience with
wrestling
interior
against
pass
the
rush.
Coast.
But I mean, it is also a point that like iron sharpens iron,
Yeah.
because all he's
Yes.
done is practice against John Allen and Deron Payne, and if you can learn how to block those guys,
You should be
you're
all
you're
right.
probably pretty set against most of the rest of the league, especially with those two specifically because they do it differently. Like,
Right.
okay, well, does that prepare you to block Aaron Donald? I mean, Deron Payne's about as close as you're going to get.
Yeah.
So like, does
I
it
think you make a
prepare
good
you for
point with that.
Dexter
With the two
Lawrence?
different
Like, I
type
don't
of
know.
rush
John
styles.
Allen's close.
I think like what you said, the two different type of rush styles. Like John's more of like the hump move is more like a power move. Duran's gonna win with speed most of the time and using his quick hands. So yeah, I think that's a really good point. And he looked good during training camp. Like there was a play where first play of like an 11-on-11 drill, he loses a block against John Allen. Next play, he stonewalls him. So like
Yeah.
consistency has always been the big thing with Sadiq, but I think he's off to a hell of a start and he's making the offense go a little bit.
All right. You got one more in you? You got one more take in you?
Yeah,
Pick,
this
pick your
one's
best one.
well, I can't. I think I already used my best one, but
Okay. Well,
this
your
is.
best one remaining because this is the last. We only got time for one more take.
I think Washington. This is not even an overreaction to me. I think Washington is a top 4 team in the conference.
Let's pull up the old standings.
Well, the
Uh,
old standing dudes. So the
uh,
teams that I think are clear cut right now, better than Washington, Dallas,
yeah, they've been ridiculous.
and it's hard for me to really like convincingly say another team. And here's why.
San Francisco? Come on.
I think Washington's not going to get punched in the mouth by San Francisco. I just don't. I think there's a attitude and a toughness that the team's playing with, which is why I think they can compete with Philly because Philly's just punched New England in the mouth. They punched Minnesota in the mouth on Thursday night. San Fran, I refuse to buy that this is going to last for 17 weeks. How long has it lasted now to this point? 9 weeks of Brock Purdy starting? 8 weeks?
I mean, but their system insulates him, and they've got so much talent. Like,
If you can,
come
the one
on,
thing that
man.
he's struggling with is pushing the ball down the field with accuracy. That's the one thing that like the advanced numbers show with him. If you could like heat him up, get him to move off of his spot, like there's ways to, like you said, though, he's beautifully insulated. But I think there's ways to beat San Francisco. You just got to be the aggressor. And they're coming out. You saw what Trent did to the poor Rams DB. They're intimidating right now. And I don't think Washington's a group that strikes me as somebody that's going to get punked. And as long as you can look at what they did last year when they went up to San Fran. Like they played really well.
No, 100%. Like I don't think Washington's going to ever get punked.
They match up well with them, I think.
But I think San Francisco is definitively better. I also think, like, you know, if you want to use point differential, like Washington's pretty middle of the pack. Yeah, they're 2-0, but they've won 2 games by less than 3 points. So I do think
second half, though.
I mean, sure, but like it's a 60-minute football game. So you got to look at the totality, and they're plus 6 point differential on the season. Like, or sorry, they won their first game by 4. And then their last game by 2. So they're winning on average a field goal per game versus like Dallas is plus 60, San Francisco's plus 30. I mean, shoot, Green Bay lost and they're plus 17. So yeah. I do think saying definitively top 4 in the conference, like, are they better than a team like Tampa? Yeah, definitely. Are they better than, I think, you know, New Orleans? Definitely. I think that's probably more their neighborhood. But there's also teams that, you know, like Seattle, like what are they? I just think it's too early in the season to be like, they are definitively a top 4 team in the conference. Through 2 weeks, maybe, but then you're not doing the projection thing anymore. And has Atlanta actually been more impressive? Like probably through 2 weeks. I mean, Washington week 1,
lucky a couple times on
sure,
Sunday.
But like Washington barely beat Arizona. So there is that reality too, that for as much as like, you can't either isolate it through 2 weeks and be like, this is all we're looking at. And then also be like, well, projecting it forward.
That's kind of where my thing is coming from, because I'm thinking this is the worst that Sam is going to look, because I really do see him in the offense continue to take a step forward.
This is where the optimism gets you in trouble, sir.
Continue to take a step forward each and every week.
This is how you wind up with them in the Super Bowl. It's 2 weeks.
I think when you have a guy at quarterback, I think everything is significantly different. I think the whole conversation changes.
Agreed.
And I think they have a guy.
I don't disagree. I just think we gotta, like, if I'm gonna be you know, the non-overreactor in the duo here, I'm gonna say let's keep looking. But there's nothing wrong with a little optimism, nothing wrong with a little excitement, and I can't wait to be at FedEx on Sunday. That's for sure. All right, that's Lynnell Willingham. He of course hosts the Burgundy and Gold Game Day in-game show, as well as visiting contributor to the Rooster Show on Thursdays, correct? Do I have that right?
So I think this week, I think it's Wednesday and Thursday, I'll be with the big fella. So double
dosage. All right. So you got that tomorrow and Thursday on the Team 980 Burgundy and Gold Game Day live on Sunday. And then the post-game show as well. Popping up, of course, on Overtime on 106.7 The Fan. Lynnell Willingham with us every Tuesday for Overreaction Tuesday. Thank you, sir.
My man, let's do it again soon. Well, next week.
That's literally what we just said.
Very soon.
What's up, kiddos? It's your boy Clinton Yates from ESPN. It's the Hoffman Show on the Team 980. Tell your mama I said what's up.